Welcome to the ARCS 2020 Holter Analysis, Reporting, Communication, and Software. At this point, we will assume you have successfully loaded the software onto your PC and you have opened the application and you are looking at the home page. To get started, we will, in this session, look at the About icon, the Quick Access Toolbar, System Settings, Preset, and Receive for the recorders. Looking first at the About tells you about the version of software you have. In this case, ARCS 2020 is this version right here. At some point, you may need to know what the module list or what's enabled on this license. In the module list, this indicates what's enabled. And in my case, I have all BIOX and TZ functions fully enabled. Next, let's look at the ARCS system setup. This icon will open and you'll have the availability of 5 different tabs. In the Facilities tab, you'll be able to enter your facility name, the IDTF, or the facility for which you're processing the data if you are an IDTF. And multiple facilities can be added for storage and later retrieval just by clicking on Facilities and adding these names. Additionally, you'll find throughout the software there are areas where you will have a pull-down menu and you can access department names, physicians' names, technicians' names, things like that. And in each one of those, you can add names. In the analysis section, you can have multiple parameters set up for how you want the data analyzed, and that's programmable also. In this particular screen, you just have the main parameter set shown, and you can have the start of day and the start of night indicated by time. You can have selections such as automated long RR, long RR and pause, long RR and manual pause. They are selectable. There are additional parameters under the ECG analysis, and this is one of these pull down screens to get started. I mentioned those. In this case, you have Dr. Dave, you could have Dr. Tom, Dr. Smith. You could have pediatric, you'd have a clinical specialty that might be associated with whatever parameters you set up, and these are freely selectable. And just as a simple example, one physician may consider tachycardia one rate and another one considered a different rate. Those are all selectable, and you can save them by clicking on Save. With the save, you will then be presented with an opportunity to put a new physician's or clinical situation name in, and you can save them for future reference. In the display area, it has to do with whether you want to use metric or English. There's other parameters for how you want information in the report presented, whether it's colors, lead names, things like that. It's all pretty straightforward. We won't go into the details here on that. That's for your review using the user manual and your preferences. In the print area, same sort of thing. The size of paper, font type, size, things like that for future reference. In the others, that has to do with preset and receive, which we'll go into those icons in a minute. The next area is the Quick Access Toolbar. On the left side is a selection of all the icons or pages that you could create or have access to in your setup of ARCS for your facility. As you can see, the ones that are checked are what I have on the right side. These are the commands that will come up when I open a patient's data set and begin processing. And you can change those at will and store them, and all you have to do is reboot the software and it saves them for future reference. Next, let's look at recording preset. For the recorder and the preset, you have the choice of all the vasomedical or BIOX recorders, and we also have special parameters enabled for the TZ recorders. In the TZ recorders, you'll notice that you just get to put in the personal ID and other information, but on the BIOX recorders, you can put the patient ID, patient's name, physician's name, things like that. It's just the structure of the differences in the recorders. So it's pretty straightforward. Normally, if the recorder is plugged into the PC, it will recognize it and show you what it is here, and you can preset the recorder. There are options in terms of how you're doing it. Most times it's going to be an SD card or a cable plugged in. Some of the BIOX recorders have the ability to do IR or Bluetooth, and that's why they're indicated there. Auto scan, again, if it's plugged directly into the PC, you'll use auto scan. And in this case, it's Vaso BIOX or other types of recorders for presetting. In terms of receive, when you're going to receive the data after the Holter or the memory card comes back from doing a patient's study, when you plug it in, again, the device is automatically recognized in this area and it will be displayed. If it is not, and you have, for example, some facilities will download the data remotely or download the data and save it to a folder or a special file within a folder. And in this case, you have the option of again, you have that SD card, and you can either auto scan, which is the mode you'd be in if the device is plugged directly into the PC, or manual. When you select manual, you can then select what your data is. In this case, let's say it's TZ. You could compress if you wish, and you say OK. It then allows you to browse. And when you browse, this opens up a standard Windows window. And from there, you can go to wherever you want on your PC where you saved the data in a file folder, and you can access that and upload it. Okay, this concludes this section of the video education on ARCS 2020. In the next section, we'll review the patient directory, which will then take us directly into the Holter analysis steps.